Following the shocks of Brexit and Trump in 2016, many people feared the momentum of populism would sweep across the European continent in 2017. While many people's worst fears have not materialised, populist parties have made solid progress, and the political landscape is changing as a result.
The first test was in the Netherlands. Would Geert Wilders' Freedom Party become the largest in Parliament? Anti-Muslim and anti-immigration, for a while he led the polls.
Once again, not all are scum, but there is a lot of Moroccan scum in Holland who makes the streets unsafe. Mostly young people, and they are not taken seriously.
But in the end, the centre held. Prime Minister Mark Rutte hailed the triumph of good populism over bad. But there remains a solid constituency for Wilders' views. In France in the spring, it was a runoff between the National Front's Marine Le Pen and new kid on the block Emmanuel Macron. There had been populism on the left here too. Jean-Luc Mélenchon's old-fashioned socialism struck a chord with workers wanting protection from globalization. Le Pen's platform was France for the French, rejection of the EU and the meddling of global elites, and of course, anti-Muslim rhetoric exploiting recent terrorist attacks. She failed, defeated by Macron's youth and energy and voters' fear of her. But she got 30% of the vote.
Macron's victory was welcomed with huge relief here in Brussels because common to almost all of Europe's populists is an implacable opposition to all things EU. Many, in fact, want to pull their countries out altogether and favour the primacy of the nation-state over shared sovereignty and endless calls for solidarity.
In June, Theresa May gambled on expanding her narrow majority to strengthen her hand in Brexit negotiations. Instead, she lost seats, while Jeremy Corbyn's invigorated Labour Party stole pages from the populist playbook with promises of big public spending. Come September, all eyes turned to Germany and Angela Merkel's bid for a fourth term. Here, too, the winds of radicalism stirred. Alternative for Deutschland skillfully exploited concern with Merkel's open-door immigration policy. She would pay the price. Her Conservative alliance lost seats, and Alternative for Deutschland broke into the Reichstag for the first time to become Germany's third biggest party. This has fractured normal politics in Europe's strongest state. Merkel survives, but she is weakened. In Austria, the lurch rightwards was more pronounced. The People's Party of the youthful Sebastian Kurz won, but the Freedom Party came third. They are unashamedly anti-Muslim, anti-immigration and anti-EU, and they have been rewarded with key posts in a new coalition. Add to that the existing populist governments of Poland, Hungary and Croatia, and never before has Europe seen so many states pulling against the European Union and challenging the consensus of the middle ground.
So in France and the Netherlands, centrist parties held their ground. But in Germany and Austria, populists made more of a mark on the political landscape, whether it was by exploiting people's concern and resentment over migration or fear of terrorism. These kinds of parties have been very skillful at exploiting people's concerns. So in 2017, all across the European continent, millions of people voted for parties that were once considered extreme. Simon McGregor-Wood, TRT World, Brussels.